What's going on, guys, in the works, and today we're using everybody's favorite weapon, the LSAT. Now, I know a lot of you guys actually don't like the LSAT, and unfortunately for me in this particular game, I learned the hard way that I have claymores on, and claymores cannot go on vehicles. I guess they could, but you can't destroy a vehicle with claymores, unfortunately, so new move on my part, but it made for a funny little intro clip. But we are using the LSAT, and this is a weapon that I've gone really hot and cold with it. Like when it first released, nobody really saw a point for using the LSAT. I mean, its claim to fame is that it uses caseless ammunition, which makes it a lighter weapon, which in turn makes it more mobile. And in-game, they account for that by giving it better hip fire. The LSAT is the best firing from the hip LMG, especially with the laser sight. Throughout the couple different games I'm going to be showing you guys, I'm basically using this thing with some sort of holographic sight or red dot. I kind of fluctuate between the two, but then I've got the laser sight on it. I'm not using extended mags. I do have the bipod on because I find that you might as well have it just in case, because there are a few situations where let's say you need to make a long distance shot with the LSAT, you're probably better off bipoding down. So I typically do run with the bipod, but this is an interesting setup because it's really not that good. I'm going to be the first to tell you the LSAT is a weapon that I've gone very hot and cold with. Like when I first did videos on it though, I talked about how, it does have a place in the game. It does seem to kind of be good. I mean, in close quarters you think about it, but then you look at the M240 Bravo and it just blows the LSAT out of the water. Yeah, it's less accurate. Yeah, it's more wild. Yeah, it doesn't have as good hip fire, but it kills much faster. So really the bonuses you get from the hip fire, the fact that you do have a very low recoil LMG, doesn't really account for much, because I feel like there's a lot of the belt feds just completely blow it out of the water in performance, because it only shoots 650 rounds per minute. Not too good. That's pretty low. It puts it right up there with the Type 88. It's basically a carbon copy of the Type 88. The only difference is, like I said, the hip fire. And I think the one weapon, if you sit down and you're like, okay, what could I really compare the LSAT to? And it's definitely the Type 88. I mean, if you look at the recoil patterns, they're almost identical. But there's one thing that a lot of people overlook, and that is the initial recoil. The initial recoil on the LSAT is much higher than the Type 88s, and I think that's really what kills it for me. And I don't like either of these weapons a ton. I do like the LSAT with the laser sight. I think it's fun, but the slow rate of fire, like I said, just doesn't really complement the weapon well. It just feels awkward. I mean, yeah, it has a really good hip fire, but it just doesn't seem to be able to win gunfights. I mean, look at that right there. I think that's a prime example. Getting the first shot on that guy, get 2 or 3 hits on him, then I get outshot by a semi-auto sniper. So kind of embarrassing, but that's the LSAT for you. It is the tit-for-tat gun. Every time you get a kill or a couple kills, you die. I feel like that's what always happens to me when I'm using the LSAT. So I showed you guys some aftermath where you've got some more long open lines of sight. Obviously we're playing some close quarters here because I wanted to test this in a variety of different situations. And since this is a weapon that's technically designed to be more mobile, which you would think, okay, well, shouldn't it perform well in close quarters? I mean, it was part of the close quarters DLC weapons. And really, no. Like I mentioned, the M240 Bravo does much better. Would I rather have this in close quarters than a Type 88? Probably, yeah. I think I would probably go for the LSAT. But far as a generic LMG, if I had to pick one of them, I may actually pick the Type 88 just because it does have a lower initial recoil. And if you're using it more like an LMG, yeah, I think the Type 88 probably wins. But if you're going into close quarters, yeah, let's go with the LSAT. But all statistics aside, I do like the way the LSAT looks and feels as far as the characteristics of it. It's got a cool sound. It looks really cool as they eject the shell. And I don't know, it just feels fun to get a kill with the LSAT, even though they are few and far between. Because like I said, every other belt fed pretty much blows this thing out of the water. It kind of makes me shake my head. I went back and looked at some of my past videos, and I was like, man, I was really trying hard to figure out, what was good about this weapon. And in reality, there's really no reason to make yourself use it. So I think that's the moral of the story. If you put on the 240 Bravo after using this, you will instantly see your KD skyrocket because the LSAT is the KD killer. I went from I think my KD was, I don't typically know exactly what my KD is, but I happened to see it before I started playing, and it actually dropped like 1/10 of the point during the session when I was actually using the LSAT. So that could be some variance, I don't know, but I was playing like an idiot in close quarters with it because it probably doesn't really excel in that. It'd probably do better on a more wide open map. I think Aftermath's probably the best environment for a weapon like the LSAT, just because you can't really rely on the rate of fire to bail you out, and you will lose a lot of rate of fire battles with these weapons. This and the Type 88. It's just the nature of the LMGs that look like this. So. Overall, though, I'm really excited to see a weapon like this in the game, though. I mean, it's not really that standard. I mean, it is a prototype weapon. I don't think they've actually introduced this into, like, combat, or at least not officially or anything like that. The caseless ammunition is something that I've always been kind of intrigued by, because the G11, which was a prototype weapon, actually did a caseless ammunition, but the problem with that is, like, it was an electricity charged round and it kept exploding, so it never actually made it to the there's a nice little LSAT clip for you. That's something that we don't see too often. It never actually made it in the circulation because it kept malfunctioning. So I like seeing weapons like this. I'd love to see more futuristic like weapons in Battlefield 4. So hopefully the LSAT being in Battlefield 3 is a sign of things to come. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you missed any of my past videos, here's a chance to catch up. I actually did a weapon on the QBU, which was an underused type video where I talked about what makes it unique. And before that, we did a true underused weapons video with the USAS 12 frag rounds. So check those out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.